where there is the Stakeholder Forum on innovation, a must to achieving positive outcomes.
A very bold mandate of funding to supplement government efforts to provide educational infrastructure and facilities within the public sector from the pre-tertiary to tertiary. I believe all these years deserve a resounding round of applause. What we want to do today is to tell our story in the best way we know how, for you to make your informed decision, but most importantly, for you also to buy into what we intend to do for the future on the back of innovation. I ask that we lend to this discourse our very unbiased views, suggestions, and even questions, so that at the end of it all, we can say for a truth, our stay here and our contributions here were worth the while. We acknowledge that a discussion on innovation must be one hinged on truth and candor, and for this reason, we're joined by our chairperson, who is an embodiment of these two qualities and more. A journalist by training, she started a career at the Daily Graphic and the Mirror after graduating from the University of Ghana in 1979, where she became editor of the Daily Graphic and the first woman in Africa to be editor of a major national newspaper. She left Ghana in January 1982 in what she describes as a bit of a hurry, and later joined the BBC World Service in London, where as deputy editor of daily programs in the African Service, she became well known for her fearless reporting from troubled spots around the continent. She came back to Ghana into frontline politics in the year 2000 during her tenure as Minister of State for Tertiary Education. Her advocacy for knowledge, inclusivity, and progress left a lasting impact. She's the current chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, and carries the responsibility for ensuring the financial security in retirement of numerous citizens. Her leadership has been marked by a strategic vision and a focus on expanding the contribution base and a brighter future for all beneficiaries. We're privileged to gain insights from her wealth of experience, and she's a remarkable leader whose resilience enhances our gathering and whose contributions profoundly influences Ghana's social, educational, and financial landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to acknowledge and present to you our chairperson for this occasion. Make welcome the Venerable Madam Elizabeth Equia Ohene. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Jerry. But just in case you didn't hear him properly, I did not graduate in 1979. More like 1967. Yeah. Usually these days when they say you should be chairman of an occasion, all they want you to do really is to come and sit down and look pretty. It's long past the stage when I look pretty. So I won't be able to sit down and look pretty. But I will. It is, I don't know if it's notorious or the truth, that when GetFund came into being, I was the Minister for Tertiary Education. That's when it started. That's when the operations of GetFund started. And I remember some meeting that I had in Legon here with the students. And they said to me, Madam, GetFund is possible because of us. We, the university students. We fought for it. We chased the government. We made it possible. The idea that we are going to sit here and allow you to make GetFund the same for all sectors of education, we will not tolerate it. So I found a way to finish that meeting in a manner in which they were not very upset. Another day, I asked them, okay, so the children who are in kindergarten today, who are in primary school today, who will be taking exams and going to senior high school, and then where you are today, if they don't get the opportunity for us to enhance their infrastructure, how do you think they will fare? When they get, if we spend all the money just doing up the universities, the people who will be coming into the universities, how do you think they will look like? How do you think they will cope? It was the view of some of the young people that was not for them to worry about. The only thing they should worry about was the state of where they were, the universities. Now, if you have enough money to tackle any project, it's very easy. But if you don't have enough money, then you have to find ways of sorting out everybody. So we don't have enough money. We've never had enough money to do anything. But we need to do things that we all agree on, especially in the education sector. And so the only way to do it is to be imaginative. If innovative does it, fine. To find ways of accepting that we can't do everything at the same time, and two, find ways of doing what we do so that it benefits a majority of people without doing the same thing all the time, and keeping an eye on how the rest of the world is doing. So one would say GetFund's work is cut out for it, guided, of course, by us in the Ministry of Education, because we hold the responsibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, as GetFund has been doing, it's always good to hear from the stakeholders. It's not a word I like very much, but we'll put up with it, stakeholders. Because I was thinking yesterday, who are the stakeholders of GetFund? The people who pay the money, which would mean all of us. The people who go to school, which would mean only the young people, or the people who teach them, or those of us who send our children, our grandchildren there. So really, at the end of the day, the stakeholders is all of us. So I'm hoping that today, the ideas that we come up with will make it worthwhile. And we can go back to how many? 20 years now of having this institution performing and trying to use money in the most sensible manner to be of benefit for the majority of people. And the new things that they are doing, and making it possible for the young person in my Abutia village to go to school in Abutia and still be able to compete with those who go to school in the big towns and in other parts of the world. When we have done that, when GetFund is able to make sure that we equalize opportunities by the innovative ways we seek to do things, then GetFund would have succeeded in what it was set up to do. So we are looking forward to a lot of interesting discussions today, and I promise I shall keep quiet and I shall look on. I might not look pretty, but I will be cheering all the talkers on. I thank you very much for the invitation to be chair, and I hope we have a successful day. Thank you.
Ranking, Honorable Peter Nochu, UPSA Vice Chancellor and your reps, heads of various agencies at the Ministry of Education, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media. I'm so excited to be here this morning to give some brief remarks about this great initiative by our innovative GetFund administrator, Dr. Richard Boadu. So a contractor came to my office, Dr. Richard Boadu. Great things have happened, even in the midst of difficulties and challenges. He's navigating the space in a way that is so commendable. So, Doc, we are grateful for your service to our country. See, under various administrations during the Fourth Republic, various approaches have been adopted regarding infrastructure expansion. You know, under President Kufuor, various schools, facilities were enhanced, more facilities were provided. We remember fondly of schools like Kumasi Anglican that was upgraded. You see, Kumasi Anglican secondary school used to be called Supercast. See, if you are not a great institute, you always have to have Mighty Super by your name, in front of your name. So there was a Supercast. Now you don't hear Supercast anymore because President Kufuor transformed the school. Now it's simply Cast. Odogon, transformed by President Kufuor. Ganata Senior High School, transformed by President Kufuor. Many more of those opportunities were created for various schools across the country. Then you have Mills Mahama administration that began the E-blocks, community senior high schools. A number of new schools were built. Then you have Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. That seems to have combined the two models, building new schools and upgrading existing schools. Go to a school like KSTS in Kumasi. The buildings that have been constructed there could have been a new school by itself. You go to Opokuware, a number of schools, many buildings have been constructed through the general support of GetFund. And of course, new schools have been built. So you see, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo combine the two. You upgrade existing schools and you build new schools. I remember when I went for vetting to become the Minister for Education, a question was asked. I don't know if it was a ranking who asked me the question, but maybe not him because he knows we've done more. But one person asked me a question I'll never forget. Said, Minister, tell us, one school that has been constructed by your government. Because you've been a deputy minister for education at the ministry. Tell us one. And I said, you only need one? I said, yes, only one. And I said, okay, Bosomtwe Girls Senior High School. Of course, we've done many more. And Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo have shown the way that you can do infrastructure expansion at existing schools and at the same time build new schools. We are so grateful to GetFund for the great transformation that we have seen, especially regarding the construction of STEM schools and many more facilities at the basic level, at the secondary level, at the tertiary level. During a short period of time, we've seen a major infrastructure expansion. But let me also emphasize that about 20% of our infrastructure projects are also done and supported by other funding sources. And I want to acknowledge the Kuwait Fund. I want to acknowledge Badia Arab Development Bank. I want to acknowledge the World Bank for the support that they have provided to complement the work that is being done by GetFund. Today is a day to hear from our stakeholders, but let me simply take 2 minutes of your time to underscore the fact that in education, what we are doing is to change the space that the children learn and the space where the teachers teach, to give them a better environment so when a teacher wakes up in the morning, he could not wait to get into his classroom because the classroom environment is so inviting. So when you look at what we have done in the area of junior high schools, for example, you're going to see that we have embarked on a major transformation agenda. Transformation agenda that will put to rest that it's no longer the case that public schools are defined as rectangular shaped buildings painted brown and yellow, with students wearing brown and yellow uniforms. We have begun a journey that will take us to a different place. And with the support of GetFund, I know we're going to be able to do more. We're going to be able to do more. This is what you see as your regular public schools. In our villages, this is what you see. And that is why many of you gathered here have run away from our public schools. Very soon you're going to see something different. These days I like evidence-based communication. You're going to see junior high schools that are like, I know you don't trust us, the politicians. Oh, they always say it's in the pipeline. This is not in the pipeline, it's out of the pipeline. So let's see the out of the pipeline school buildings that are being done across the country. This is what you are seeing. And this is your junior high school. A building that has biology, chemistry, physics, STEM, and computer labs. This is where our nation is heading. We have to transform the places where students learn and the places where teachers teach. Around about February, we're going to see a number of these schools open. Beyond this, we also have new community schools where you have KG, primary, junior high school, and high school in the same facility. And Accra is getting the first one. And by the way, the uniform, is this not nice? This is public. So some of those schools have opened, and this is your public school environment. I won't be surprised to meet some of you in front of the public schools lining up to go and sign in your children. Sign up. Junior high schools with science labs is going to be the norm. So I'm saying this so that the GetFund board will begin to look at how they shift some resources into this space, because I know things are a bit difficult. But we're going to support what Badia has begun so that we can have more of these facilities across the country. Junior high school students working in a lab. You see the confidence in their faces. So we have to transform public schools and make them competitive and make them desirable. Junior high school music class. Now, let's take a look at Accra STEM Academy, and I will leave it there for GetFund administrator to show us more of what they have accomplished in this country. So you look at a public school, 5-story building with elevator, everything in it, and I think you'll be getting there soon, in a minute. For us to just know that change is possible in this country, and that our better days are ahead of us and not behind us. There are many things that we can do in the public space to demonstrate to Ghanaians that we can manage our resources efficiently and bring about transformation that may have eluded us for a certain number of years. So I can assure you that GetFund, their investment in education is really going to help us transform our education in this country. Quality learning outcomes as a result of infrastructure expansion and development that is second to none. So I believe that as we move forward, GetFund will find innovative strategies to complement the efforts of our tertiary institutions in developing more hostels. If GetFund is not able to find all the resources, maybe a partnership with the private sector by providing some credit enhancement opportunities will enable the private sector develop the facilities that we need in our tertiary institutions. We're also grateful to GetFund for their investment in hostel construction in colleges of education. I think there are many things that you have done, and I will not be able to say it all. But I just want to express appreciation as a sector minister to the board of GetFund for the able manner with which they've managed the resources that have been trusted to their care, and how innovative they have been in supporting us to bring about transformation in the Ghanaian education space. We are grateful for your service to all the board members of GetFund. We are grateful for your innovation, that in the midst of all challenges, you are able to support us, bring about transformation. To the stakeholders, as the chair rightly pointed out, who are the stakeholders? The taxpayer, the market woman, various people, individuals, the students who are at the receiving end. Every one of you have done a great job. I think the picture is finally here. And this is your Accra STEM Academy, KG to senior high school. And it's a model school that is going to provide quality learning environment for transformation to be possible in our public education space. So as we support, yeah, you can clap, because I know I will see you in front of the school trying to check in your grandchild or trying to check in your son. And it's not a pipeline thing, you see, it's moving very fast. Moving very fast, and very soon it will open for children to be educated in this kind of environment. Grateful for your attention. God bless the GetFund, God bless Ghana, and God bless us all. Thank you.
We're grateful to you, the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei-Aduchum, for those very warm and encouraging thoughts. Yours has been a job well done in your brief stint as Minister for Education. Clearly, you've shown us how we balance the scale of solution to the scale of the challenge. Please, one more time, a round of applause. I'd like to acknowledge with gratitude the presence of the following persons. Would you please make welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the chairperson of the Association of Vice Chancellors of Ghana, Professor Mrs. Rita Bakosia Dixon. Thank you. We're also joined by the chairperson of PRINCOF, Professor Dr. Samuel Atintono Awinkene. Thank you very much. We're joined by the following groups and individuals. I would like the groups to just wave. All finance officers of public universities, if you're here. Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge all development officers in public universities. Okay. All vice chancellors of public universities. Thank you very much. Let's also acknowledge finance officers of technical universities. Thank you. Development officers of technical universities. The leadership of Education Committee of Parliament. Thank you very much for joining us. Please, a round of applause for them. The National Executive of CHAS. They're on the way coming. The Association of Principals of Colleges of Education. Thank you, sir. There you are in your numbers. Thank you. The Deans of MMDCEs from across the country. Thank you very much. Let's also acknowledge with gratitude heads of sister agencies who are here to support. Okay. And the list is endless. I shall be going on. NUCS executives. Yes, it's certainly not complete without you. GNUTS executives. I don't know which one that is, but we welcome you warmly. RCC coordinating directors. Thank you very much. So I'll put a pause here as we proceed with the rest of the program. Madam Chair, in moving on with the program, I'm delighted to call up here for a presentation on our theme, a man who is distinguished in his field of education and innovation. In his current role as the administrator of the Ghana Education Trust Fund, he has spearheaded transformative initiatives to enhance financial support given by the GetFund in support of the delivery of quality education. His impact as GetFund's administrator has been nothing short of transformative. His achievements include a comprehensive reform of GetFund's operations across projects, scholarships, and internal processes. Under his leadership, the Infrastructure Audit Initiative was launched, assessing the quality, progress, and locations of GetFund's projects. He revitalized the project unit into a project monitoring and evaluation department staffed with professionals, architects, surveyors, and construction engineers. He established the zonal monitoring offices across the country, and the introduction of a financial clearing system further strengthened GetFund's capacity to implement its budget and mandate effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please make welcome the administrator of the GetFund, Dr. Richard Ampofo Bwedu.
Are we still in the morning? Good morning. Mr. Chairperson, Madam Chairperson, Honorable Minister for Education, Honorable Minister for Information, Honorable Chairperson of GetFund, the Chairman of the Education Select Committee, the ranking of Education Select Committee, Honorable Honorable DCs, MMDCs who are in here, the regional reps from the regional coordinating councils. I see my friends who are also colleagues in the Ministry of Education. I also see a sister of mine who is a deputy minister for education in charge of TVET. I also see some of the board members of GetFund who have been very supportive. The stakeholders from CHAS, from NUCS, GNUPS, headmasters and head teachers of various institutions. And last but not the least, fellow colleagues at GetFund, it is an honor to be invited here to speak on GetFund on our achievement. We see it as a day in a year, and I think this will follow subsequent years. We come here and then, knowing that it is the taxpayers' money that we receive, we at GetFund find it very necessary to come and then try as much as possible to engage with our stakeholders and then try and then account to the stakeholders too as well. This year, we're looking at a theme which is innovation, a must to achieving positive outcomes. Innovation has been a simple way that I think suits me best is creativity in action. So, in trying to execute the mandate that has been given to us, we try as much as possible to be creative, but not only being creative, but it has to be put into action. And at the end, we know that there will be a positive outcome of whatever we do. Criticisms over the years, those that are positive, has reshaping us, and we've been able to come out from a long way to presently where we are. I quite remember in 2017, when I started as the GetFund administrator, I was telling somebody this morning, it was like somebody being in the consultancy services as a medical doctor. I had on an average about 70 visitors visiting GetFund with various needs. But if you come to GetFund today, on a day, maybe 10. There are some days that even 5, because we've changed the processes. And today, I'll be talking about the theme is hinged on the processes that we've been able to innovate. And then we look at technological innovation. So it will be based on process innovation and technological innovation. I'll begin with segment 1, which is based on our scholarship. What scholarship has been like since we took the affairs of GetFund. So we begin with the scholarship presentation. So what I'm trying to do is to look at the overview of our GetFund. In a nutshell, we'll be talking about how a background for those of us who are new here for the first time. We'll talk about the background, then we'll try and then look at the challenges that we're facing, and then we'll talk about what we've been able to put on board. That's what's new. And then we'll look at the way forward. So, if you look at GetFund scholarship has been for a period of 14 years. And We normally do about 70% STEM and then 30% humanities in terms of the financials. Our mandate for the GetFund is hinged on the Act 581/2000 and D and then E of our Act. That is, we provide through NCT funding. Through NCT is an old one, but now it is GTech. We provide funding through, can you move on? We provide funding through, please the slide. Okay, so the sponsorship and then scholarship category, it's based on the general scholarship, and then we have the faculty development program, which is the funding that we do through GTech. Then we have professional enhancement, capacity building, and then the educational program. Let me stand on this. So we are defining that at GetFund, there are 4 types of scholarship that we do award. The one is the general scholarship that most of the students know. That is for scholars applying to the fund and then they are given scholarship. Then we have the faculty development. That is what is done through GTech for their scholars in the tertiary institution, for them to do their PhDs. And there is a third one, which is professional and capacity building. This is where we identify members in the system, like in the past, we've done scholarship for the example is the fire service. Fire service, we've done for the judiciary, we've done for the police service. So this is targeted to a class of people for their capacity building. And then there is the 4th part, which is scholarship. Sponsorship through, for instance, like Prempeh College, they went to the robotics, and then a school like there's a school in the eastern region, Mount Girls, we supported them. Brilliant, and then the science brilliant quiz that used to be in the past. Now it is being called as what? The science and maths quiz. We also supported them. We have about 180 educational institutions across 5 continents. And with this, there is a huge percentage at the local level. Next slide. What is new? We've reformed the program selection review. No objection policy has also been introduced. That is, when students in the foreign category, when they get their award and then they finish, first we bond them. After completion of their 2-year or 1-year mandate program outside the country, they write to the fund and then we give them no objection letter for them to get a working experience, and then they come back to Ghana after that. By then, it makes, when they come back to Ghana, 1, they get experience. 2, because they've gotten the work experience, they're able to fit into our system, because you know that nowadays, if you want to apply for a job, they ask you, what is your working experience, and this helps. We've also see to it that there's a unit growth in the capacity building, new structures, and there's a new structure and documentation in our unit process, preparation towards made in local monitoring program. This is something that we also introduced into our system, where in 2019 we went outside the country on monitoring. There's also the local made in one that we've also started. There is a total increase in scholarship, and for the academic year 2023, about 4,200 students were given scholarship plus. It started around 230 in 2017, but the numbers have gone up tremendously. So these are the new one. Let's move to the next slide. We've also shifted our drive from concentrating on foreign scholarship to empowering local universities and expanding sponsorship reach. And there is the capacity building, more support to scholars. There is also national development alignment. The achievements so far, like I said, over 4,200 plus of awardees this year, adding to the existing ones. Look at the scholarship process. I would like to walk you through what really happens in the scholarship process. So, from 2009 to 2014, where there was the birth of the GetFund program, it was foreign scholarship award was for both postgraduate and undergraduate. Then local scholarship was concentrated on postgraduate. Scholarship award was something that was all year round. So you start with January and then award comes in till the end of the year. So it wasn't well coordinated. From 2015 up to 2020, there was a revamp in scholarship application. There was this collaboration with GTech and collaboration with government agencies to also help in the scholarship management. But from 2021 to present, what we've realized is that with a reinforced effort, monitoring activities are started in GetFund. So the fund goes and then monitor the awardees. There's also the stakeholders engagement in institution. We engage the universities, we find out their problems that they are facing with the GetFund award, and they also talk to us. And just recently, the rounds that they did, the universities have accepted that because of the credibility of our processes, now all that we need is to write to the universities, and the universities will respond to us to let us know the number of students that are in the system. Once they do that, they allow them to register, even without financial commitment, because they now trust the fund that GetFund will definitely pay. The scholarship process starts with the application cycle. And then the next step is we open online. I'm just letting this come out so that the potential awardees in us in the secondary school, the tertiary sector, and then parents who want their award to have the scholarship, you know how we've gone through the system. So there is a call of application where the system is open at a particular time, particular date, and then a time period. For instance, 2 months, a start date and then closure. We do that, and then that's the end of the year. Previously, it was a year whole round, and anytime that somebody comes in there, he can apply, and then they give you the award. There is a review and validation process where it is done, an online application, and there is a system that we've developed at our end that is used. The selection process, I'll run you through, and then payment and post-award management. I'll also demonstrate it here for us to know actually what happens in the system. Now, who qualifies to be an applicant? This is something that is asked. All that you need to know is that you are a Ghanaian. You have to be a Ghanaian before you can apply. There is a relevance of program to national development. Like I've said already, STEM-based programs have a higher advantage. Performance, your class also plays an important role. Your university should be accredited, so you can apply. But if your university or the program doesn't have accreditation, you'll be kicked out of the system. You shouldn't have two scholarship schemes. So if you have one from, for instance, a scheme which is different from GetFund, it will kick you out of the system. And then those going outside the country on foreign scholarship, you should demonstrate the commitment to return to Ghana. You will not, and for that matter, we bond the students. Then you provide a relevant and required documentation during the process. And for this, there are some of them that, for instance, we need you to provide an evidence to show that you are a Ghanaian. And they so decide to use a document that is not nationally accepted. The system will kick you out. So what do you have to submit during application? And it's been listed. You can come to our GetFund, and we even list this when it comes to the application. Who qualifies for privilege selection? This is a tough question. Privilege selection, because that is they have that myth and then conception. If you are a STEM student, then your chances of you being selected for privilege selection is very high. And then secondly, we seem to be gender biased. We favor more female students than male. That is a fact. The scholarship management system, and you see the difficulties that we're going through, the processes that we're finding difficult with people coming with hard copies and a lot of challenges coming on there. We've digitized our process, and now everything is done online with a software. So the first part is the student applying, and then the process is, that is, it goes through a process. There is authentication, approval, and then rejection. Then you come to processing notification, and then after you've been given scholarship, there is the scholar management. We follow up with students, and then we see how they perform under the scholar management. Then versus now. For instance, 2019-20 scholarship, the whole process took us about 8 to 9 months. But in 2023, just 4 months, we've completed. I always say that under that period, there are a heap of award to be done. And I can even sign, and by the time that I get to the office, I feel pain in my arm. But with this, I relax in my bed. Everything that the approval, it is on my tablet. Normally 3 a.m. I wake up, and the next morning, by the time that I get to office, I would have approved about 500 of students. It's just by a click of what? A button. And then the student letter generated, and then it goes to the student. And one thing that is also unique about this process, this digitization, is that, for instance, KNUST, one check, we sign one check for all the students, but hitherto it would have been signing about 1,000 or so students, each one of them signing their documents and then their check, but just one check to the school. So for 2023 Scholar Project, the program, this is how we got. For the male, 903, female 425, for postgraduate. For undergraduate, 1,658, for female 1,290. That's quite impressive. For STEM, we're able to do 486. For humanities, 842. For STEMs under the undergrad, 1,964, which is also impressive, and the humanities, 984. The monitoring program, as I've said, this is a board member when they went outside the country, and based on the monitoring, what really happened was schools like Nottingham University, University of Bradford, UCLan, all of them have now offered 5 students 100% tuition free, and then 50% of their fees. There are some too who also say that for every 3 students that you bring, one of them will get what? Free. So these are the processes, how we're able to change the processes, the outcome. We have a lot of partnership and rebates of the monies that we're supposed to pay for scholarship. Now, the key outcomes of the monitoring: clarity in GetFund Scholarship Project, key institutional partnership, fostering future, financial savings, like I've said already, new initiative and revamp process. The no objection policy has helped the fund here. And then there's something that I would like to talk about this, because it keeps on coming. It keeps on coming into the media space. And it's got to do with the 2019 audit report on a special audit from GetFund. I would like this to state that this scholarship was initiated by GetFund, and we paid for it. The same way that we did the infrastructure auditing, we paid for the scholarship infrastructure. And out of the scholarship infrastructure, there were fallouts that also came. You see, there were pluses that we took from the scholarship audit, and this helped us to reshaping even now what we have and what we've been doing. And it showed us clarity that we have to have a budget before we do scholarship. It's also established the administration process, that there should be publicity, the application process, the selection process. All these things have guided us in our new dispensation, how scholarship is being done. Even though we admit that more should be done, We've migrated the scholarship into a management digital system. We've established scholarship monitoring process, STEM and female education advocacy. Like I said, we are biased, and local university empowerment has increased. There is also, from the audit, something that I've already gone in and then made disclaimer of that. It was a list that they targeted that it is members of parliament, politically, they target some way. But you see, out of that 88 sample that they brought, five of them, the fees that they published wasn't correct because they had no fees to pay. 43 out of the 88 had wrong financial attached to it. That's the fees and then the living allowance were not correct. 3 scholars names with no living allowance, but it was published with allowances, that they had allowance from the fund. 13 of them never went for the sponsorship. But to date, they are still quoting this in the media landscape, which is totally wrong. And for that audit, my take was that if you can do an audit out of a total of 88, and let's count these numbers. 5 plus 43 gives us what? 48 plus 3 plus 30. Out of the total of 88, if this number is wrong, then all the audit that you did in terms of the sample can be said not to be true. And that was our stand. And I still repeat on that. So this is the data that went on the social media, and anybody who has something to write to or request, we can give this to him. This ends my first segment. Thank you. This was for the scholarship, to bring clarity, because there are misconceptions and there are myths that people think about the scholarship. And I wanted to bring clarity, and we see the way forward, how scholarship can be done at GetFund. My next slide is on still on innovation, segment 2, and that one talks about projects. I'll briefly, it also ran in the same way. We do a bit of background, and then the challenges that we're facing, what is new, and then we move on to what is the innovation. That is the processes that we've innovated and the innovation that we've also made through technological innovation. So the GetFund Acts, educational infrastructure support, that is from 2001. The Ministry of Education and its agency support, that's how the fund does its distribution. Government policy program support. Then we talk about the scholar and capacity building program. This is basically the snapshot as at 2017. We always say that we came to meet an infrastructure that was, we had 3.6 billion as our liability and commitment. There were 7,201 total portfolio as the project Ongoing projects were 3,897. There were less control in the measures of project contracting and less visibility in terms of implementation, project implementation. That was in 20. So in 2017, 2020, we just fast forwarding to the key issues that were there was inadequate data on all the projects. That is how come we started with the infrastructure audit. 54% of the projects portfolio post-audit were under construction, which means that there were a huge number of projects under construction. The Financing New Government Initiative and Ministry of Education Agency, there were a huge deficit in terms of infrastructure, perennial financial inadequacy, uncoordinated approval of the budget, where we find projects being done at the district assembly and then awards being given at the blind side of GetFund. The other awarding agencies also do same, and they don't even let the fund know what is actually happening. We've already said about talk about the liabilities. The funding and operation, 800 thereabout yearly, that was the average being given to the fund. Remember that there was a debt of 838 and then our commitment. And all these, we had to have payment of debt owed, payment of IPC, in secondary school intervention, in basic school projects, model school projects, support of government TVET initiative, supply of furniture, that is from 2017 up to 2019. These were some of the things, projects that we were able to do. The key highlight project. One basic thing that happened at that time was that there was increase in enrollment. Even though the average amount of receivable had dropped, there was about 3% increase in enrollment. And what that meant to the fund was completion of legacy projects, new secondary schools, emergency project, and then increased support from the ministry. These were the challenges that we faced ourselves at that time. So up to 2020, the key interventions that we've done was, one, GetFund initiated the audit process and then implement some measures after the infrastructure audit. We established monitoring unit. Funding capacity was also increased with the bond that we went in. And then we also brought an initiative, which is financial clearance. So what the financial clearance meant was you have to write to the fund if you want to execute any GetFund projects. Unless you get clearance from the fund, you cannot do any GetFund projects. Even if it is a rate revision that you have to do, you have to come back to the fund for the fund to approve it, so that we will know the purse that has been given to us, how much we have and how we can tighten it. So with this, at that point in time, the measures that we put in, we've been able to do 2,251 plus projects. That is new projects that we've been able to initiate in all the 16 regions. The breakdown is what we have in there. So these are some of the projects that we've been able to do with the limited amount of money that we've gotten. The pictures are showing. Around that same period, 2,731 projects were completed. I've told you that I'm coming to let you know some myth and then misconception that is going about on the fund. And if you look at this, 1,651 projects have been completed within that space of time. New projects, 1,000 and about 80. So when you look at the numbers, it shows you that more of the legacy project has been completed than the new project. So it is not true if somebody says that we've abandoned legacy projects. That is a fact. We come to the myths, and the myths, after I'm trying to explain this, it will lead us to our next model. So these are the normal things that normally is in the airwaves, or people believe that GetFund awards infrastructure contract. People come to GetFund and they will tell you that they are coming for contract. And another one is the abandoned project. And then we come to the third one, which means that GetFund, are we paying contractors? That is also something that we would like to talk about. And then selective payment of contract. People will tell you that GetFund, if you don't know anybody, your certificate will never be paid. We're going to try and then speak to these one by one. So for the first myth and then the misconception, GetFund awards projects. And we are saying that at the fund, we don't award projects. If you look at the processes that it goes about, what GetFund does is to give financial clearance to their third parties. That is the ministry, MMD, DAs, ministry and its agencies, tertiary institutions, and then others. So for the request, that is where we come in. And we also come in the post-contract management. The awarding entities, we have the MMDAs, the RCC, donor partners, Ministry of Education in the secondary sector, the RCC, the donor partners. In the tertiary sectors, it's only the tertiary institution that do the award. And at the policy level, where the executive arms of government may direct the ministry or any other agency to undertake procurement on behalf of GetFund. So the first one is that we want you to know that we don't award contracts. Myth number 2, legacy projects are abandoned. And for this, there is possible factors that a contractor or an ongoing project may stall. And we are saying that there are about 5 different reasons why a contract may stall. The first one is national education priority and the needs assessment. I'll give an example. For instance, the e-blocks, those that were in the hinterland, we saw that we had to build dormitory blocks and then classroom blocks for those schools to be active. So even though the structure as it is some have been completed, we had to add dormitory blocks and classroom blocks to complete the process. There are some of them, I think 17 of them, that the ministry wrote to us that they should be put on hold. So for such, and for them, we found out that none of them has even started. So for those projects, it can be put on hold, and it means that it's been stalled. And the ministry also advised that the 38 e-blocks, 21 of them should be given financial clearance after rate revision. The other, which is about 16, will be done next year. So you see that it is not a matter of we abandon the project, but systematically it has something that is backing that. Then you look at the budgetary allocation. For instance, the previous year, our budget was around 2.3. The following year, it came to 1.8. It means that you cannot do as much as you want to do. So even though there are ongoing projects in the system, you cannot complete them as it is. This is a possible factor. So from 2.6 moving up to 1.8. The other question is the GetFund, our financial. Over the period of the time that I've been there, in 2016, there was an accumulated debt. From 2017 up to 2019, there have been mass payment in the system. And I can say that from 2013, projects, IPCs that we came to meet at GetFund, the initial 838, we paid 96%. Those that were left were those that are technical challenges. So it means that in effect, it was almost 100% be paid. Since that time, we've paid all contractors up to 2019. And I'm saying that any IPC, that IPC is the claim that the contractors bring, up to December 2019, every IPC that came to the fund, we paid. So it is not a matter of non-payment of contractors alone. So that is one point that I'm also putting up here. Then some will also say that, do we have a strategy of completing the old projects? That's the legacy projects. And like I said, the legacy projects and the new projects, we had a 3-year plan. We went to Parliament and Parliament approved. And for the 3-year plan, we were phasing out about 80% of ongoing projects. So the 3-year plan, the project completion model was also discussed, approved by the board. If you look at misconception on the project completion plan, our inability to complete those projects and vis-a-vis the current economic challenges that we have post-COVID, straight away added about 35% of the cost to completion. So without GetFund even indulging itself in any, we just wake up one day and then, if I should put it that way, prices escalated and about 35% was the top up that we have to make in order to complete the project. There's a misconception number 4. That is the project contractor factor. And I will dwell on this, the contractor factor. And I just want us, because this is an intellectual exercise that I'm doing, and I want us to look at this. A 6-unit classroom block has 6 months duration to complete. 6 months, you should complete the project. That is the contract that the contractors sign. And in 2016, for instance, 2019, for instance, the project cost of 6-unit classroom block was about 450,000 Ghana cedis. But you see, if the contractor is not able to finish in 6 months and then move it up to a certain point in time, the contractor will abandon the project and they will come for rate revision in order for the contractor to continue the project. So at the end, what happens is that you try as much as well. In order for you to complete the project, they revise the rate and then bring it, and then it is completed. The cost to the fund also increases. So the next one is, based on that, we're able to find out that there are about 3 types of contractors that we have in Ghana. I'm now developing my argument. So contractor A, those that are able to finish between 4 to 6 months. And the contractor B, those that are able to do about 6 to 9 months. And then we have the contractor C, which is also 6 months and 12 months and up, which means that it takes them a longer time to finish the project. This is an example of a project being executed, and in 4 months, the contractor has finished. So it means that there is no extra amount added to the fund. That is a perfect contractor. 4 months, finished. You see a contractor C, and it is keeping the contractor till thy kingdom come to finish the project. And these are the type of contractors that we have in our system. In terms of economically viability, you see that a contractor who starts with a contract value of about 450 needs an extra money to complete it when the rate is revised. We'll talk about the completed project because I've already laid an assumption that contractors were paid from a certain time to a specific time. That is 2019. I'm coming to that. The legacy that we came to meet, we paid all the contractors, and fast forward up to 2019, every IPC that came there, the contractors were paid. So out of this, the completed project for the legacy, this is what we have. 1,651 legacy and then the new project. So it means that there are about 571 more. Let's come to the basic school. For the where I have to move towards, I'm going to use the basic school as the basis, and then we can just bring it up to all the projects that we're doing in Ghana. For the basic school, this is what we had. During the 2017, when the infrastructure audit was done, we had about 70% completion, 213. We have between 30 to 70, 432. Less than 30, about 582. And that makes us 1,227. And with this, we find out that even though we've paid the contractors, maximum contractors, as I've said, 797 till date, they've not been completed. Why? Let's move on. There is a myth that, and I realized it when a friend of mine had a contract that has been repackaged for him. The contractor was working very hard, and a friend came to him and then said that, oh, GetFund Ejuma na oye ne saa no. It is not done that way. What he was saying was that try as much as possible to prolong it, because the more that you prolong it, you get what? Rate revision, and you are compensated. So it means that inbuilt in contracts, there is a compensatory factor for contractors that delay. It means that we are rewarding the lazy contractors. And that is what it means. I'm not saying that all contractors are lazy. I'm saying that some contractors deliberately wait for the completion of projects to prolong so that they can get what? Revised rate, and that can make it economically viable for them. It's a business venture. Please, let's know that the contractors too are businessmen. So they've seen the loophole. Try as much as possible to prolong so that it can be revised and then we get more. Can we move on to the next slide? I've already made this that contractors are being, and this is an example of daily graphic. Last year, about 680 something million were paid to contractors. Massive payment. There is also a myth that selective payment of contractors. And at GetFund, I've told you that from since the inception up to 2019, we're doing what? Mass payment. And I've proven that we're able to pay all contractors up to 2019. What we do there is not selective payment, but it is priority payment and then batch payment. The priority payment comes as a fact that there is an emergency, a set of projects needed to be completed. So those are the priority. For instance, I quite remember the minister telling me that there are some e-blocks that are about 70%, and we should quickly pay the contractors so that they finish the e-blocks before the next school reopening. So those had to be done. And batch payment is also something that we take it that at this point in time we are paying basic schools, and then we do that. There are times that we even say that those that are 50%, those that are retention, all retention, let's pay all retention, and we pay every retention that is in the fund. So learning through all these things, what are the new initiatives that we are looking for? And this is where the innovative aspect comes in. So there has to be an innovative way in trying to solve this. So GetFund is saying that now, pre-contract and award of contract, we are going to get into the pre-contract. Where you are coming for the financial clearance, that is where we spell out what the fund requires from whoever is getting the contract, so that we can tailor it to suit our system. So, like we did with the scholarship, where we've migrated onto the digital system, the contractor registration and vetting, we're going to do that, which is also on a digital base. Project design review. We've reviewed the project and we've come out with an innovative parameters. Pre-contract representation by GetFund, we liaise with the awarding agency and we let them know what we need and what has to be done. And then finally, the letter of no objection. So now we're saying that even though we give you the financial clearance, before you sign a contract, you should come for no objection letter before you sign the contract. And there's a new model that we're also going to, and for this, we're using the 6-unit classroom block. I'm using the 6-unit classroom block as my basis, and we're going to move it next year, because next year, our attention will be finishing the ongoing projects. About 70% of the fund's money that comes to us will be used in completing ongoing projects. So this is it. So for this project, for instance, the roofing, we're now going to use aluminum trusses, no wood trusses. This will be an environmentally friendly approach. So I'm going to talk about the plus. The inner court will no longer have the grass, but we're going to use 3/4 chippings. We've seen the shortfall in the grass management in the inner periphery. We're also saying that the roofing design has also been changed. First, it used to be this side, this way, tilted at an angle. Now, we're just doing it at one angle. Every floor of the 6-unit classroom block is now terrazzo. We are not going to use the, how do they call it? The technical people, screeding. We are not going to use screeding. incorporated in the 6-unit classroom block. Every floor will be terrace road. And then, in order to arrest dam or minimize rising dampness, every structure that you do, you have to coat it. So in the BOQs, all of them have been integrated. You have to use a coating to prevent damp rising. That we try as much as possible to reduce the woodwork. So if you look at the design that the BRI proposed and then it was finished within 4 months, all the windows were metal and then the doors. We try as much because in this era, a lot of the wood are juvenile and unseasoned. So we move into a system where we'll minimize the woodwork. Secondly, we are proposing a stage-based payment. By stage-based payment, what we mean is the contractor will start from the base up to lintel before the contractor can raise a certificate for payment. When the contractor does that, then he can, by the time that he's chasing his interim payment certificate, the roofing will be subcontracted to suppliers. So by the time that the contractor is waiting for his certificate, remember that we've done that in the past, where 2 to 3 weeks the contractor gets money and then he smiles and they go back to the work. By the time that you go, the roofing had been done already. So you just go plow the money back and then complete the project. And that is the system that we're using right now. So you can only raise a certificate up to the gable. I mean, those who don't understand gable, it is up to the level that you put wood on it and then the roofing comes up. So that is it, up to that point. So stage payment. And then we're also going to do nomination of contractors. So subcontractors will be nominated. So the roofing, a nominated subcontractor will execute that. And we don't want the system where in our schools you have to finish this, the project, and then at a later date there will be furniture supplied onto the system. So incorporated in this award, we are saying that each school comes with furniture. And the moment that you finish the school, the consultant will notify the supplier, who is also a sub-nominated supplier of furniture, and the person or the who the subcontractor is will come and then furnish it with furniture. We don't want anything like Ghana School of Sheep. We trying as much as possible to bring this into the award process so that by the time that you finish, because there are instances where school has been completed, but because of lack of furniture, they are not able to reopen in the time that it is due for them to do that. So these are the measures that we've put in. So we are innovating in the processes, and we are also innovating in digitization. Can I go to my next one? So this is how it's going to be. And I always say that my dream in coming to GetFund is the day that I will sit at my office with a tablet. You come to my office. I'm contractor A. My project is at, for the sake of my minister, Bosomtwe, and which town? Then you will just mention Jachi. I just punch, and there will be live streaming of your project. Every detail of the contractor, payments that has been done for the contractor, the consultant, the time that it was awarded, everything about that contract, by just a click of a button, I'll be able to tell you what is on the ground. The same way that I've been able to do it, the same way that the board has helped me to do it, the same way that the management has been able to help me to do it in terms of the scholarship, that's where we're coming into. It is under procurement, and the system is also being developed. So somewhere next year, around the same time, if I come here and I'm coming to talk about GetFund for my stakeholders, I should be able to sit here, and then when invited onto the podium, I can come and then say that, contractor A, this is your project and this is it. The same way that the scholarship process management, somebody, I'm talking about the scholarship with the digitization, I'm able to tell the student or somebody who applied that you went onto the system this day, at this time, you spend 15 hours, you spend 5 hours, you spend this is what you did. I'm able to prove to the student so that there's no ambiguity if you don't get it. You can't say that it is the administrator who didn't allow you to have the award. There are instances that people have come to me and I just open my tablet and I show them what your student did that he wasn't able to get the award. There was somebody, a mother, who came to the office. No, my student did this. He had HAs. He had this. I said, no, it is not true. We went through the system. Because I said, how possible did your son wasn't able to get it? Do you know what happened? The woman was the one who did everything. So in trying to put the name of at a point who is sourcing for this scholarship, the woman put her name there. So when the award letter came, it was for the mother, not the son. And for that matter, the person didn't get the scholarship.
Doc, in the same vein, MTN too has really audited your presentation and they've realized that you have 1 minute remaining.
That's nice. But before I end, with the innovation that we've been able to do with scholarship and now skewing it into project monitoring and management, I think that we've come a long way, and you should get that assurance that as stakeholders and beneficiaries of scholarship, that your money is not being wasted. And before I leave, this year, all students that had 6 A's, had 5 A's and above or so, they got scholarship. Those that applied to us. And any lady that got 4 A's and above, automatically they were picked. So this is how transparent our system is. And we hope that you cooperate with us. And next year, when we come here, we have a good story to tell. But before I end, by first week in December, we'll be opening our portal for new awardees to apply onto the system. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a beautiful story of systems and structures, breaking myths and misconceptions, while showcasing new initiatives and digital transformation in scholarships and projects. Put your hands together one more time for a visionary. One, two. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. We're just a little behind time, just a little. What we want to do right now is to proceed on a little tea and coffee break. Before that, however, I would like to have a photo op. Respectfully, I'd like to invite you, Honorable Minister and Madam Chair, together with all our dignitaries, to please proceed up. We take the picture, and then we shall go to our respective places for reception. And in 10 minutes, no more than 10, we shall be back for the continuing part of today's engagement. Respectfully, I invite you to please take your place here. Members of the board, please join us. Vice Chancellors. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we have two amazing panel discussions. We will hear from various players within this family. We're talking about nukes, we're talking about Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Instruction reaching me from our producer indicates that most of you are desirous of lunch, not coffee break. So we should finish and then we'll have lunch. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. I think the ayes have it. So please, let's sit and continue with the rest of the program. We'll need some help with rearranging the stage. While we're at that, I'd like to acknowledge, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today, members of our board. Mr. Michael Nsoa is a member of our board, together with Madam Philippa Larson, Mr. E.A. Addo, and Mr. Dr. Mohammed Mazouk. Please make them welcome with a round of applause. Thank you very much for joining us. Please, a round of applause for them. Can we have some assistance with the stage, please? The arrangements of the chairs. Has to come into the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, moderating these two panel discussions is broadcast journalist with the Media General TV3. Make welcome yours and mine, Madam Bella Adade Bella Mundi.
Also to invite on stage Ni Kwakupum, and he is from the FPMU. He's the Director for Funds and Procurement Management Unit at the Ministry of Education. Please, can you encourage them as they join us on stage? Mr. Bo Saki, Central Review Committee member, would also join us on stage. Mr. Bo Saki? Okay. While we wait for him, hoping he joins us, finally, can we also have Mr. Kofi Ofe Nyako, research scientist with CSIR, Building and Road Research Institute? Okay, there he comes. If anyone can signal Mr. Bosaki in case he's around, to also join us. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and good afternoon to you. First of all, even before we go into our conversation on projects funded by GetFund, I just want to pick your review. Let's take a cursory look at what our director had mentioned with regards to GetFund, the challenges they were facing, the presentation that he made for us, the GetFund administrator, and what you make of the presentation. So I'll start off with you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, my dear sister. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We must first of all thank Ghana Education Service through GetFund for such an initiative by bringing all key stakeholders together for us to brainstorm and then to touch on the training issues as expected and required of us. Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry is a pan-apex body that house all the built environment professionals, the trade associations, the artisanal associations collectively in the country as we speak today. So therefore, if you are talking of the chamber, we are talking of the representation of the construction industry bodies coming together. So therefore, I'm representing the interest of the entire industry as we speak today. We must commend the director, the executive director of GetFund for a very detailed account that be given from inception of his office to date. Some of the myths are very contestable, that we can contest it now, but we are not here to go into the technicalities, but whenever the needs arises, I will just point certain things out a little bit.
Okay.
Because I love the way he classified contractors in the country as we speak today. Category A, B, C, which is very good. But a category A contractor can become a category C contractor today, depending upon the circumstances and the challenges. So therefore, some of these issues, I believe we'll be delving into them accordingly whenever the time comes for us to at least go into the technicalities.
I see. Thank you so much. Honorable, coming to you as well. I mean, when it comes to legislation, that is where you sit. But overview of his presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to thank GetFund for this opportunity, and to also congratulate the administrator and his staff, and especially the board, for this initiative. I am sure if he carries it on from here, what he's doing and his team, I think we'll get better results than we have seen so far. So for me, there are a few technical issues we need to look at, and I think if we do that, we'll be able to make sure that GetFund gets to where we want it to be. First of them is, he did not talk about the legal framework. For some time now, I've been asking for amendment of the GetFund law or the act, but it has not been done. I've spoken about it for 7 or more years now, and I think it is important that the legal framework is the first thing that we need to tackle, so that if it is proper, it meets the needs of present-day education and the challenges that we face. I think GetFund will go a higher level than we have it now.
We'll hold on to that and come to you so you can tell us exactly what it is about the act that you require is changed. But Nikwa Kupum, what about you as well? I mean, of course, when the administrator was talking, he did touch on the need for GetFund to be involved from jump when it comes to procurement processes, which I'm sure you'd want to touch on as well. So speak to us briefly about that in your review and we'll carry on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that I'm quite excited with the presentation. I think the administrator touched on some of the things that we have been working with him on. In terms of project planning, in terms of project preparation, I think those are the key issues. One of the challenges we've had is the way projects are planned and ultimately the way they are procured and then the way they are implemented. We've been going through a season where most projects seem to be emergency projects. So it does affect the planning. And I'm excited that GetFund are saying today that they want to be involved with the pre-contract. They want to be involved with the with the assessments that take place before projects can be implemented. And one notable thing is the introduction of what the administrator is calling the no objection, which means that yes, I may give you financial clearance, yes, you may go through all the steps, but at the end of the day, GetFund will also have to do its own assessment before it grants you the no objection. That gives you the authority, that gives you the right to actually implement the project. That is what we do with most of our donor-funded projects. The minister talked about the Badia project, the Kuwaiti Fund project. Those steps help and ensure that at least projects are site-specific. You know, sometimes you go to some of the GetFund project sites and you realize that the ones awarding the contracts did not do any site-specific assessments. So sometimes that affects project costs, that even affects the viability of the project. So I'm excited about some of the things that are being discussed here. And GetFund, we always work with GetFund. I think Dr. Boyd, we speak on a daily basis. And so I'm quite familiar with the new introductions. And I think that there are exciting days ahead. Thank you.
All right. And finally to Mr. Kofi Ofenyako, of course you're from CSIR. We're looking at the Building and Road Research Institute and of course what they also have to do with regards to this. He talked about how there's a need for you to even finish. If you're doing a 6 units block, it should be done within 6 months. There have been challenges which we're all very aware of with regards to design, etc. What did you make of that aspect of his presentation?
Great. I'm also pleased to hear from the administrator, a very good presentation. You know, that was. We've been personally involved with this project. You know, with the fund, we've been coming up with some good ideas for them to also adopt to move on. The last bit of his presentation, where you are going to have some, you know, use digitization to run the project. Those are very good ideas. The bit that you would bring on board subcontractors to finish off the project, you know, all that. I think these are very good, innovative ideas that we'll have to document when they are implemented. We have to document how the processes go, do further research on them, and then if they are good, we can then implement them, you know, nationwide, you know, to help with the execution of projects, not just GetFund, but then probably with most projects that are done by government. Okay. Yes.
All right, so I'll start off with you, Honorable, and we're talking about the need to also amend the Act to ensure that it's open up to a lot more things. I remember that the Majority Leader in Parliament, for example, had been talking about the need to amend the Act to include private institutions, tertiary institutions, for example, so that we can provide that level playing field for students and for the construction of projects all across our private institutions as well. I'm curious to find out what angle you are looking at with regards to amending the GetFund Act and what that entails. Please give us those details.
Thank you very much. If you look at the GetFund Act as we have it now, that is about some 23 years ago. And somebody born 23 years ago, in 2000, probably must have finished even with the first degree now. And if there's a periodic review of the Act, then it will bring more innovations on board. But if you look at the Act as it is now, when GetFund started this scholarship issue, there was an agreement that in the law, it is not specific over there that gives scholarship. But if you look at section D or so, D and E, there's an omnibus provision. And under that omnibus provision, GetFund could do 1, 2, 3, including the scholarship. But if we amend it, and then we find it in the Act that give scholarship for so and so programs, I think it will help them, and they will be away from this criticism. Then again, you look at the management board. The number for me is too large. We need to look at it. Yeah, because they've asked for certain institutions to be represented. Over the years, I've not seen the roles that they have played so far. For example, the banks, financial institutions. How many times have they raised any fund for GetFund? Then also, we should also make sure that in the new act, GetFund should be able to invest a lot. Look at the hostels they have built all over the country for investors. GetFund must own those hostels, and then to be investment for them. They've built them and handed over them to the various institutions. But GetFund, as it is now, without receiving money from the 2.5, which is never the 2.5, they will not be able to pay contractors and then run other programs and activities. So there's the need for an amendment to the Act. These are some of the reasons for it.
You say it's never 2.5? Can we just, okay, thank you. You say it is never 2.5. Usually, what's the percentage that comes from the VAT to the GetFund?
Let me correct, it's no more VAT.
Yeah.
It's a straight line tax of 2.5%. Now, there is this capping so much that if you look at the income that GetFund should get, every year there's a percentage of 11 to 14 increase over the years from around 2012 or 2013 up to 2017. If that money should all go to GetFund, I don't think the administrator will be lamenting today. Now, last year, or this 2023, they were to receive about 4.6 billion as revenue from the 2.5%. But they are receiving only 1.8 billion. I even wonder if all the 1.8 billion will get to GetFund before the end of the year. So we need to amend the law, and then